In various languages throughout the world, nouns have a gender. In French, all nouns are classed as either masculine or feminine. Based on the gender, you have to change the form of certain other words that get used with the noun. The word for the is le when used with masculine words such as man and boy, but changes to la for feminine words such as woman and girl. But what about words that don't clearly have a gender? Well, they get a gender anyway. Table, house, and loyalty are classed as feminine, but art, time, and supermarket are masculine. Get the gender wrong and it will grate on a native speaker's ears. It just doesn't sound right. Unfortunately for students of French, there's no clear rhyme or reason as to which words are masculine and which are feminine. You just have to learn them as you go. This is often a source of frustration for English speakers. How exactly is art masculine? The crucial thing is to let go of the idea that grammatical gender really has anything to do with biological sex or even traditional gender roles. It's simply called gender because typically words for things that are biologically male fall into one category and things that are biologically female fall into the other category. Meanwhile, all other nouns fall into either one of the two categories in a somewhat arbitrary way. Therefore, grammatical gender can be defined as a noun classification system that triggers other parts of the grammar to change form and agree with the gender of the noun. It may trigger changes in other words such as determiners, adjectives, or verbs. Or it may trigger changes in affixes used on the noun itself. For example, in Italian, the plural suffix changes between masculine and feminine. French, Spanish, and Italian are the best known examples of two-gender systems. It's also possible to have a third neuter gender. German is an example of this. Some linguists prefer the term noun class to gender and point out that gender is just one kind of noun class system. For instance, some languages have an animate versus inanimate classification system, whereby words for animate things like people and animals fall into one class, and all other inanimate things fall into the other class. Noun class systems can get quite complex. Navajo has one class for humans, multiple classes for different-sized animals, a class for inanimate natural forces, and finally a class for abstract nouns. All this still begs the question, why? What's the point of these unnecessary grammar rules? One theory is that grammatical gender provides redundancy to communication. Adding redundant information to a sentence can make it easier to understand in environments where it's not so easy to hear. Let's say a French speaker is yelling to you across a valley, and they yell out the words, "Le supermarché," but the wind picks up, and you only hear le super. There are various French words that start with super, but because you heard the masculine le, you can immediately rule out any feminine words, such as supernova. Combine this with context. Maybe the full sentence was, "Please buy some eggs from le super," and there's a pretty good chance the word was supermarché, not supernova. Stay tuned for the next video on how to control gender in Vulgar.